Beloved, today is not just another day. Today is a divine appointment. I feel the Spirit stirring, and there's a prophetic word that cannot be ignored. God is about to open a door in your life, a door that no one, and I mean no one, can shut. Whatever you've been waiting for, whatever you've been believing for in secret, it's on the horizon. This is an urgent prophetic message for 2025, and it carries with it revelation, encouragement, and divine strategy. God is positioning you, aligning circumstances, and even shaking off the obstacles that have tried to hold you back. September 17 is significant. Mark it, watch it, pray over it, because the Lord is moving, and he is moving in ways that will make all the difference in your life. When God opens a door, it is not just an ordinary opportunity. It is a supernatural appointment that is divinely orchestrated, a door that represents favor, alignment, and destiny. There are times in life when we find ourselves knocking on doors, trying to push open opportunities, and feeling like the world is stacked against us. But God's door is different. It is a door that cannot be closed by human hands, a door that is backed by the power of heaven itself. This door speaks of promise. It speaks of breakthrough. It speaks of a season where the impossible becomes possible. As we look at the urgency of this prophetic word for 2025, we must understand that God's timing is always perfect. He is not late. He is never early. He is exactly on time. The enemy will try to make you doubt, to make you question, to make you turn away, but the door God opens cannot be hindered by fear, limitation, or opposition. When the Spirit of the Lord moves, even the strongest barriers crumble. This is a season where prayers are being answered, where dreams are being realized, and where faith is being rewarded. The key is awareness and responsiveness. You must recognize the moment, understand the significance of what God is doing, and be willing to step through even when the path seems uncertain. Doors are not only about opportunity, they are about transformation. This is a door that will change the way you see yourself, the way you walk in purpose, and the way you experience God's power. It is not merely an opening in your career, your finances, or your relationships. It is an opening in your spiritual life, your destiny, and your identity in Christ. Many have waited for years, prayed for years, and yet they have not seen what is coming. But for those who are alert, for those who are ready, the Lord is saying, I am about to move in ways you cannot imagine. You must cultivate a heart of expectancy, a heart that is not shaken by doubt or fear, but one that is anchored in faith. Faith sees what the eye cannot see, believes what the mind cannot comprehend, and receives what seems impossible. This is the moment to align your spirit, to tune your heart to the voice of God, and to prepare to step through into a new realm of blessing. The enemy will whisper lies, but God's truth is louder. His promises are unshakable. His favor is unstoppable, and his power is unparalleled. This door is not just an opportunity, it is a declaration that God is with you, that he is for you, and that no force on earth can stand against the plan he has designed for you. You have to understand that timing is everything. If you delay, if you hesitate, if you let fear dictate your steps, you risk missing the fullness of what God has prepared. But for those who move in obedience, for those who step out in faith, the doors are wide open, ready for you to walk through. Every barrier that once stood in your way is being removed. Every limitation that once held you back is being shattered. Every season of waiting, of frustration, of disappointment is coming to an end, because God is about to release a season of supernatural favor. This door represents not just a change in circumstances, but a change in destiny. It is a shift in your spiritual atmosphere, a shift in the influence you have, and a shift in the testimony you carry. The promise of this door is eternal, not temporary, and it is marked by divine orchestration. You must recognize that God does not operate like man. His ways are higher than our ways, his thoughts higher than our thoughts, and his timing perfect. As this prophetic word is being spoken, it is a clarion call to the faithful, a warning to the hesitant, and an invitation to step into the fullness of what God has promised. The door he is opening is not based on your merit, but on his mercy and his plan. It is designed to elevate, to strengthen, and to multiply everything that you have sown in faith. The Lord is calling you to step up, to step out, and to step in, because this is your moment, your season, and your appointed time. Preparation and alignment are not just spiritual buzzwords. They are the foundation for entering the new season that God is opening before you. So often, we see doors open, but we are not ready to step through them. We are carrying old habits, old mindsets, and unhealed wounds that can block the flow of God's favor. God does not just open doors randomly. He opens them in alignment with his divine plan and your spiritual readiness. Alignment is about positioning yourself so that you can fully receive what God is offering. It's about being spiritually, mentally, and emotionally ready to operate in the realm of your destiny. Preparation requires discipline. It requires prayer, fasting, and a heart that is sensitive to the leading of the Holy Spirit. God is calling you to examine your life, to ask the hard questions, and to remove anything that does not line up with his will. This might mean letting go of relationships, situations, or mindsets that are comfortable but not conducive to your breakthrough. Preparation is not always comfortable, but it is necessary. It is the soil in which favor takes root, the vessel that can hold the overflow of God's blessing. Alignment is also about timing. You might feel ready, but God's timing is perfect. He aligns circumstances, people, and opportunities to ensure that when you step through the door, it is seamless and divinely orchestrated. That's why you must cultivate patience alongside readiness. The enemy will try to rush you, to push you into doors that are not yours, but God's timing is impeccable. True preparation also involves discernment. You must know the difference between a door that God is opening and a door that is merely a distraction. Not every opportunity that comes your way is for you, even if it looks good. God's alignment ensures that the doors he opens are the ones that will advance your purpose and destiny. You must tune your spirit to hear his voice, to recognize the confirmation, and to move when he says move. Alignment is not passive. It requires active participation. It requires you to move in obedience to the Spirit, even when it doesn't make sense to your natural mind. Every small step of faith, every act of obedience positions you to enter fully into what God has prepared. Preparation also means spiritual maturity. God is not looking for perfection. He is looking for readiness. He wants a heart that trusts him, a mind that is focused on his promises, and a spirit that is willing to be used. Readiness is cultivated through trials, through prayer, through learning to walk with him in uncertainty, knowing that his plans are higher than yours. Alignment with God's purpose brings supernatural clarity. It removes confusion, brings peace, and gives you the courage to step into new seasons without hesitation. It positions you to recognize divine favor, to receive supernatural provision, and to walk boldly into your calling. God is calling you to prepare, to align, and to get ready to step into a door that no one can close. It may feel like the world is moving fast, that opportunities are fleeting, and that the pressure is on. But the key is not to rush, it is to align. Every prayer, Every moment of fasting, every act of obedience is lining you up with the supernatural move of God. The enemy wants to keep you unprepared, distracted, and misaligned, but the Lord is calling you into readiness, calling you into a place where your faith, your gifts, and your destiny converge. This preparation is not just for temporary gain, it is for eternal impact. God is not opening doors for convenience, He is opening doors for purpose. The alignment He brings ensures that your life is in sync with heaven's plan, that every step you take is guided by His Spirit, and that every opportunity leads to the fulfillment of His promises in your life. Spiritual discernment is the compass that guides you through the season God is opening, and without it, even the most favorable doors can become missed opportunities. Discernment is not simply knowing right from wrong. It is knowing God's voice above all others, hearing His instructions amid the noise, and recognizing the subtle confirmations He places along your path. When God is moving, there is always a divine pattern, a sequence of signs, and a whisper of guidance that can only be recognized by a spirit attuned to Him. This is why prayer is essential, because discernment grows as your intimacy with God deepens. You cannot rely solely on your intellect or your experience to navigate supernatural doors. The natural mind will often misinterpret divine timing. Discernment allows you to see beyond what is visible, to perceive the hidden opportunities that God is orchestrating, and to avoid the distractions that Satan will try to place in your path. Many believers fail to step into their breakthrough because they do not cultivate the sensitivity to recognize God's move when it comes. Discernment sharpens your vision. It helps you identify which doors are aligned with God's promises and which are simply enticing but not ordained. When a prophetic word is released, like this urgent message for 2025, the ability to discern what is for you versus what is a distraction becomes even more critical. God's Spirit places confirmation in different ways: through peace in your heart, through aligning circumstances, through wise counsel, or through scripture that speaks directly to your situation. Recognizing these confirmations requires attentiveness. A discerning heart does not act impulsively, but neither does it procrastinate. It waits for God's signal. It watches for His alignment, and it responds immediately when the Spirit says move. Discernment also protects you from the enemy's tactics. Satan will try to mimic God's voice through opportunities that appear good but are spiritually destructive. Without discernment, you may step into doors that drain your energy, misalign your purpose, or delay your destiny. That is why cultivating a spirit of discernment is not optional. It is essential for those who desire to walk through the doors that God is opening. Developing discernment is a combination of humility, study of the word, and attentiveness to God's guidance. It requires that you know God well enough to recognize His fingerprints on every opportunity. It demands that you listen more than you speak, that you pray more than you plan, and that you seek His wisdom above human counsel. As you grow in discernment, you begin to recognize patterns of divine favor. You see where God is moving in your life, in your community, and even in the global atmosphere, and you align yourself accordingly. This is the principle of seeing with spiritual eyes, where what is invisible becomes visible and what is hidden becomes clear. Discernment also cultivates confidence. When you know God is guiding you, fear loses its grip. Doubt cannot sway you. You can step boldly into doors knowing that they are not just opportunities, but divine appointments. The clarity that comes from discernment ensures that every step you take is strategic, every decision is empowered, and every move is blessed. In this prophetic moment, God is calling you to sharpen your spiritual senses, to heighten your awareness, and to cultivate a deep listening posture before Him. The doors He is opening are not for the inattentive, the distracted, or the unprepared. They are for those who can hear His voice, who can recognize His timing, and who can act in alignment with His plan. As you strengthen your discernment, you will see obstacles that once seemed insurmountable fall away. You will recognize allies and divine connections that accelerate your journey. You will understand the importance of timing and placement, and you will walk boldly in the fullness of what God has purposed for your life. Obstacles are not signs that God has forgotten you. They are opportunities for your faith to be strengthened, for your perseverance to be tested, and for your breakthrough to be validated. The Lord is not surprised by your challenges, your setbacks, or your frustrations. He sees every barrier, every closed door, every delay, and He is already working to remove them in ways that you cannot fully comprehend. Divine favor does not eliminate opposition, but it transforms how opposition affects your life. What once would have stopped you now becomes a stepping stone, a testimony, and a platform for God's glory to manifest. Many times, the enemy will try to make you feel stuck, to convince you that the doors are closed, that your prayers are unanswered, and that your season of promise has passed. But the truth is, God is always moving, always orchestrating, and always aligning circumstances for His children. The removal of obstacles is often invisible at first. It happens behind the scenes in spiritual realms, in the alignment of people, in the timing of events, and in the reshaping of your heart. Faith requires you to trust what you cannot see while preparing to step into what God is revealing, divine. Favor is being released in your life. And favor is more than good luck. It is the supernatural endorsement of heaven, the hand of God moving on your behalf, and the alignment of circumstances that no human effort can replicate. Favor changes situations, opens doors, and attracts resources. It is the magnet that draws opportunities, mentors, and connections into your sphere at exactly the right time. When God releases favor, even difficult situations become manageable, and the impossible starts to look achievable. The key is to recognize and walk in that favor. Gratitude, obedience, and a heart aligned with God's purpose allow favor to flow freely. Obstacles are often tests, but favor is the reward. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to demonstrate trust, resilience, and faith. And favor ensures that your efforts are not wasted. The Lord is also strategically removing people, circumstances, and patterns that no longer serve your divine assignment. Sometimes, what seems like a setback is actually God's redirection. Sometimes what appears as rejection is actually protection. When you begin to see the hand of God at work, you will understand that obstacles are not permanent, they are temporary, and they serve to position you for a greater breakthrough. As favor increases, the resistance decreases, and the alignment becomes clearer. This is a season where the spiritual realm and the natural realm are converging to ensure that every promise, every word, and every step you have taken in faith comes to fruition. Obstacles will not disappear overnight, but God's power is always greater than any opposition. As you trust Him, walk in obedience, and remain steadfast, you will witness barriers falling, doors opening, and your life shifting in ways that glorify His name. Favor and breakthrough are never random. They are a direct result of preparation, faith, discernment, and alignment. You must be aware of the spiritual strategies that accompany every step you take. The enemy will try to create delays, doubts, and distractions, but God's power is unstoppable. His plans cannot be thwarted, and His timing is perfect. Every closed door, every challenge, every hardship is temporary when compared to the eternity of His promises. As God removes obstacles and releases favor, you will find that opportunities that once seemed distant are now within reach. Resources that seemed scarce are now abundant, and relationships that seemed stagnant are now fruitful. The spiritual realm is working on your behalf, aligning every detail, orchestrating every connection, and releasing supernatural provision, protection, and guidance. This is a season where obstacles are no longer threats, but markers of God's faithfulness, a testimony of his power, and a platform for his glory to shine. Immediate response to God's prompting is the hallmark of a life positioned for exponential breakthrough. Too often, we hesitate, overthink, or wait for perfect circumstances, and in that waiting, opportunities slip past us. God moves quickly when his spirit prompts you, and the moments he sets before you are designed for swift obedience. The urgency of God's timing cannot be overstated. Doors that he opens are not meant for prolonged deliberation. They are divine appointments, and delay can cost you the fullness of the blessing he intends. Every moment of hesitation gives the enemy a foothold to plant doubt, fear, and distraction. But when you respond immediately, you align yourself with heaven's timing, and the favor, provision, and breakthrough that follow are multiplied. Swift obedience demonstrates trust. It shows God that your faith is active, your heart is receptive, and your life is surrendered to his will. When the Spirit nudges you to move, it is not a suggestion, it is a command wrapped in love and wisdom. Immediate action also amplifies your confidence. When you obey quickly, you begin to see the supernatural unfold in ways that confirm God's presence and his faithfulness. You witness his alignment in your circumstances, his orchestration of connections, and his provision exactly when it is needed. This kind of obedience is a demonstration of spiritual maturity, a proof that you understand the principle of sowing and reaping in the realm of the Spirit. Immediate response releases momentum. Momentum is a powerful spiritual force that carries you from one victory to the next, often faster than you could plan or imagine. When God opens a door and you step through without hesitation, the supernatural forces that work behind the scenes accelerate your progress. Favor is released. Opportunities multiply, and breakthroughs become exponential rather than incremental. Conversely, delay allows confusion, doubt, and fear to creep in. When you hesitate, the mind begins to question, the enemy begins to whisper, and the heart wavers. What was once clear becomes clouded, and what was once aligned with heaven's purpose can be obscured by human indecision. Immediate response is a sign that your heart is in tune with God, that you recognize the urgency of his move, and that you are ready to participate in the unfolding of his plan. It is also an act of faith that encourages the Spirit to continue guiding, confirming, and revealing the next steps. The principle is simple. When you respond quickly to God, the supernatural aligns in your favor. Doors that once seemed distant swing open effortlessly. Blessings multiply, and your testimony begins to manifest in ways that inspire others. Every act of obedience sets into motion a chain reaction that heaven orchestrates, moving circumstances, people, and resources to your benefit. Immediate response also strengthens your spiritual authority. God entrusts favor and assignments to those who demonstrate readiness and willingness to act. By responding without hesitation, you signal that you are not only willing to receive, but also willing to walk in responsibility, stewardship, and purpose. This is the season where faith becomes action, where hearing leads to doing, and where divine promises are activated through obedience. The Lord is calling you to move quickly, to trust boldly, and to act decisively. He is opening doors, aligning your circumstances, and releasing supernatural favor. But your part is to step in immediately, without fear, without doubt, and without delay. The impact of your swift obedience will be seen not only in the manifestations of blessings, but also in the testimony it leaves behind, inspiring others to trust God and move boldly in their own seasons. Every step taken in obedience multiplies your influence, your opportunities, and your alignment with God's purpose. Immediate response is not simply about timing, it is about positioning yourself to receive the fullness of what God is ready to release, ensuring that every door He opens becomes a doorway to exponential growth, provision, and destiny.